Greetings, folks. My name is Christian Barker, and this is Banter with Barker, my series of ongoing interviews in the time of the COVID-19 crisis. And today I'll be speaking with a gentleman by the name of Alexander Djordjevic. Alexander runs a luxury consultancy called Dordevic, and also puts on a series of events called the 24 Hours of Elegance that he's been running for around about a decade now, and is about to issue a couple of books that will memorialize that nearly a decade in business, working with some of the finest artisanal brands and companies out there, the likes of George Cleverly, Schiamat, Rubinacci, VBC, Giovanelli, Corte, Liverano, Stefano Bima, Cariceni, etc., etc., etc. So just waiting for Alex to join us now. I might just send him a message to get him aboard. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining us. Hope you've had a great Monday. Happy Monday to everyone out there. It's 5:02 p.m. here in sunny Singapore. Alex has just joined us. Alex, if you want to hit the, I can invite you as well. Let's go. There he is. Hello, Alex. How are you?
Very
good
good
to speak. Well, it's afternoon for me, so you're having the tea, and I'm drinking pure vodka.
That's the
just
thing.
kidding. It's pure water. Pure water.
Do you hear me well?
Yes. Yeah. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I was just wondering. Good.
No problems at all. So, look, how are you going? I mean, your business, obviously, as I was just saying in the introduction, you're responsible for an ongoing series of events celebrating some of the finest craftsmen and artisans in the field of men's classic tailoring and shoemaking and so forth. It's tough in the events business at the moment when we're struggling to come together, is it not?
Well, you're absolutely right. We are this year we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of 24 Hours of Elegance, the event that really celebrates the artisans and the craftsmanship in all of its plenitude of forms. And naturally, we are not going to stage an event this year. However, I tried not to waste my time during the lockdown, so I prepared a monograph dedicated to the 10th anniversary of the event. So, just trying to reflect on all those years behind us. And I thought it would be fitting for this occasion, to have a book that is actually divided in two parts. One dedicated, as our event is, one dedicated to excellence in craftsmanship, and second part dedicated to classic cars and the Concours d'Elegance that was always a part of our event. So having an event itself, we have some sort of easing of a lockdown here in Belgrade, where I'm currently, in Serbia, and hopefully we're going to make a smaller type of event for less people than usual, because our event lasted for it was a 3-day event, even though it was called 24 Hours of Elegance. 24 hours,
right? 72.
Exactly, sort of. And it was comprised with the opening gala that was always staged at the Royal Palace in Belgrade under the auspices of our royal family. And it started the Friday night with an exhibition titled Masters of Excellence, where we presented the invited artisans. And each year we had really creme de la creme from either one city of excellence or a country of excellence.
Sure.
That was a Friday night opening gala. Then Saturday, throughout the day, we had the Concours d'Elegance at the Belgrade waterfront, which is a really prestigious waterfront development financed by Emaar of Dubai. And it's one of the largest investments in this part of the world. And we have partnered with them several years ago. And we staged the Concours d'Elegance on the Belgrade waterfront, because Belgrade, I don't know if I believe your international audience know, is situated on the confluence of two rivers, Danube and Sava River. So it's really a strategic position, and finally having a real estate development on that part of the city is something really good and really attractive. And having a concours d'elegance there, it was really the best thing that we could do. And then in the afternoon on each Saturday of our event, each September, we would have the Salon of Excellence, which was the conference and exhibition where we presented the invited artisans to our media and to the audience. And then the final day, the Sunday, was dedicated to trunk show. So I've hosted number of trunk shows, you know, in the past 10 years, with really who's who of the bespoke tailoring, shoemaking, shirt making, and all sorts of like the finest artisans that we could have.
Well, yeah. Look, as I was saying in the introduction when I was introducing you, Alexander, you know, some amazing names that you've worked with. I know George Glasgow Jr. from George Cleverly is with us now, but yeah, you've also had as guests
Well,
the likes
actually,
of Corte, Obersi,
yes,
Cappuccini, Schiamat,
exactly.
Ribonacci, Vitali
Let me just tell you.
Barberis-Canelico. Some amazing
Let me
names.
let me just tell you one thing. Actually, the Cleverly was the first shoe brand that we collaborated with in 2011.
Okay.
George Glasgow was not with us, but they sent Adam Law, which is one of the key persons within the
Most
atelier.
certainly.
Exactly. And Adam was finally presenting and representing the George Cleverly, along with Shamat, which is one of my favorite tailors, and truly one of a kind people that were relatively unknown in 2011. And bear in mind that, you know, we didn't have internet that strong at that time. There was no Instagram, you know, Facebook was there, but not as much as it is, of course, in the later years. So it was quite you know, unique thing to have an event and then to spread the word about it. And I managed in the first years, or I don't know, 2012, 13, even the Rake wrote about it, you know. And the Rake was, and of course, you know, because you've been with the Rake for so many years. But what I wanted to say is that, you know, we managed to spread some echo of our little event that grew.
Sure. What was it that inspired you to you know, to put on this event and you know, really champion all of these fantastic artisanal organizations?
Let me tell you, I really tried to gather for each edition a top artisans, not luxury brands per se. I was not aiming at the most exclusive or the priciest of brands, but I truly try to gather true artisans, people who create something with their own hands, because I really learned to appreciate this kind of craftsmanship. And actually, I'll tell you maybe an interesting story. Unfortunately, in these parts of the world, 1990s were pretty bad decade. And,
yeah, we know.
You know,
of course.
the wars were all around us. Belgrade was always a capital of this area of ex-Yugoslavia, you know, both politically and culturally, and it's a matter of fact. However, in the 90s, it was pretty tricky period. And as I said, you know, we had the war situation in Bosnia, in Croatia. Then we had a bombing in 1999. And to my amazement, you know, I lived in the States at the end of the 80s. I actually finished my high school there, and I came here and I started working on TV in the 90s, even reporting for CNN for Belgrade during these first years of 1992, 1993 of the war situation. And then I realized that this kind of reporting and political journalism is not my cup of tea. So I focused different stuff at a time. However, after the bombing, the city and the country was destroyed. You know, economy was destroyed, and I realized we must try to do something. And I had a number of relations with the Italian businessmen, in particular in the field of shoe production. So I provided several factories where we had skilled crafts and skilled people to produce shoes for Italian clients. And we worked from Bata to Prada to Sergio Rossi, really a number of brands that have been produced in Serbia, in somewhere where you wouldn't expect it to be produced. But I felt great bringing work to these people who were in the factories that were not working at the time. And moreover, I learned this whole process of producing a shoe. And to my amazement, it was called conto lavorazione, like loan businesses, So you produce one part of the shoe, not an entire shoe. And then it's being re-exported to the country of origin. And then I realized there that so much of work, of handwork is needed to produce one pair of shoes. That then, some big brand is going to sell it for, I don't know, 1,000 euros, something like that. And you would selling it for 20, 30 euros as a pair. But equal amount of time was dedicated for producing just one pair of shoes. So believe me, if you were asking me how I started to appreciate this kind of artistry, if I may say so, it was at that time in the early 2000s, in those factories that worked for us, and that I met all those small artisans or workers who've been producing something by their hands. And that was the base, actually. And then throughout the 2000s, I was involved in advertising. I worked for a network, American network, foot cone belting, FCB, for the region of ex-Yugoslavia. And I met a number of people. And then I went into the TV production, and I started producing a TV show dedicated to glamorous events all around the world. So it was called Superstar Report, and with my
sounds like a tough assignment, Alex.
It sounds like one of the toughest.
Terrible.
Trying to portray the real situation on all of these parties throughout the 2000, 1, 2, 3, 5 until 2010, actually, from Venice Film Festival, Cannes Film Festival. But I have to tell you, it was not easy to go back, in the backstage, and to get all these, experiences, and to meet all these people, and then to create a TV show. Because at the time, you was not allowed to bring the camera on a private party of Tom Cruise on occasion of, I don't know, this, what was this movie with the one of the movies with Michael Mann or something like that. I remember at the time it was really like one of the events, like for hundreds of people.
That's a great film with Jamie Foxx in it as well.
With Jamie Foxx, exactly. Not The Atonement, but the okay. Anyway,
does anyone who's watching know what it's called? Anyway, we'll move on. Everyone knows the one. It's a great movie, though.
Anyway, so it was an interesting time, networking and making various contacts throughout the world, and then slowly my personal passion for bespoke tailoring and anything that was handmade precisely for you or for one client slowly brewed. And then in 2008 or 2009, I went for the first time to Goodwood Festival of Speed. And this whole atmosphere there, with these classic cars, it was a new world for me. Even though that my first today classic car was a Jaguar XJS 513 V12 that I personally drove from London to Belgrade in the 1995.
My goodness.
At the time, it was like you know, you're coming to a country that is in the midst of bombing, but it was just my life. You know, I wanted to use it the way I like it. So, you know, that old Jaguar of mine started my passion for classic cars. That slowly, after visiting Goodwood Festival of Speed, together with these connections with artisans and bespoke tailors and bespoke craftsmen, I decided that we can create some synergy of an event. Because number of classic cars events are pretty streamlined. You know, you have people who like either to show off their cars and sip a champagne or Negroni or whatever cocktail and to enjoy themselves, or you have people who have a passion for driving the cars, so they drive around, they have a nice lunch, and that's it. And then I said, okay, well, maybe we should try to add some little flavor that is maybe characteristic to local community of Milan or Rome or Florence. So it was you know, that was the base of an idea to create the 24 Hours of Elegance as an event.
Absolutely. Well, you know, you were saying that you've been really inspired by meeting these people who make wonderful things with their hands. And I often say exactly the same thing. You know, when people ask me, Christian, who have you interviewed who has, you know, you've found the most interesting or inspiring in a way? And for me, it's not necessarily, you know, the billionaire entrepreneurs or the rock stars or whatever. It is these guys who are so passionate about what they do, and I think they get a huge satisfaction out of it, because at the end of the day, what they make is physical, and you can see what your labors have gone towards creating. You know, you start the day with a piece of leather and end up with a shoe upper, or you know, whatever it may be. You start the day with a flat piece of woolen cloth, and eventually that takes shape as a suit. And there's something magical, and I think you know, that the practitioners of these trades, of these arts, you know, there's something in it for them that must be hugely satisfying.
I'm absolutely positive about it. You know, unfortunately, I don't know for yourself, but for myself, I'm not skilled to produce something by my hand. Sure. I might play piano, but that's the most of skills I have with my hands, actually. A bit more with my voice or with my I don't know, presentation skills or something like that. But actually with hands, I don't have. And then you really realize that when you can create something so beautiful and so meticulous, be it an artwork, a piece of a sculpture, or a piece of furniture, or something very personal, which is some tailor-made garment, or not to mention a shoe, you know, you really realize that you're creating beauty by your own hands. And moreover, that person who is creating it is very humble about it. Most of the artisans that I met, and I met a lot of them, those are super humble people.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's touching, you know, to see that someone is so content with his own craft and with his joy that he has while producing something, that he doesn't pay attention neither to marketing nor to, maybe, of course, sales are important, sales are necessary, but, you know, I believe that they would be happy, you know, just to produce several of these items and you know, to have some sales, and that would be it. Most of them are like that.
Yeah.
Like true artisans. You're right. You know, am I right? I mean, you know, they don't strive some global brand building and brand presence.
No, well, most of them, you know, that's why I think the most successful, you know, if you look at, well, if you take it over to the fashion side of things, the most successful fashion companies of the last century have been an incredibly creative designer, but working in partnership with someone who's much more business minded, and whether that's Yves Saint Laurent and Pierre Berger, whether that's, you know, it's Valentino, it's Marc Jacobs, it's Giorgio
Yes.
Armani.
Yes.
You know, there's all of these examples of all of these hugely creative talents who have found a business partner who's often a life partner for them, but a business partner who's very much, you know, the Excel
Precisely.
spreadsheet kind of guy when they're not.
It seems that creative mind and business mind usually don't go hand in hand. So you need to
No.
to have a partner in creating in having some kind of endeavor in this field of craftsmanship. But you know, again, I met a number of tailors that actually they are today brands that are tailoring brands, but the owners behind them are not tailors per se. They didn't have the tailoring capability or the tailoring skill in their hands. So they managed to create their own style. I'm talking about Rubinacci. I'm talking about Chamat as well. You know,
Sure.
they're not, these guys are not tailors, but they are the creators behind the brands. They are the faces of the brand, actually. And they know how to present their own brand, which is very, very important.
Yes.
And it's something, and again, that's another necessary skill, no? It's another essential aspect, you know, of one of some of these brands, some of these artisans, you know, to know how to present your own creation. Number of tailors don't know how to present them. They relied on the number of clients that they gathered throughout the years. And some of them don't have some vision of their future. Don't you think?
Most certainly. I know of some artisanal people who are not just, you know, that they're described as rude and, you know, who are almost, I mean, some of them are busy enough that they can be as rude as they like and they'll still get as many customers as they perhaps need. But I think particularly at this time when, you know, what we're going through in the world where things are very, very tough all around, even for, you know, unless you're Jeff Bezos, when everything's fine for him, everything's very rosy.
By the way, have you seen that they introduced a guillotine in front of his home?
I did see that yesterday. Yeah,
I'm laughing, but it's really like, you know, it's a sign of the times. You know, so.
Well, look, I'm certainly not a communist, and I don't begrudge anyone their success or their material success. But I mean, my point is, at the moment, you know, people are tightening their belts and are, you know, and perhaps if we're all going to be working from home, we may not need as many suit jackets and classic pieces of tailoring as we have had before. As someone said to me recently, you know, they said, these garments are often about a sense of occasion. And if we don't have these events or these occasions to go to, then perhaps you don't need the garments. Although, look, hopefully things will come back. We'll be able to go out again.
I agree, but let me tell you something. I think that, you know, if you like to dress, some nice suit and put a tie and put a pochette and enjoy selecting a cloth for your, I don't know, future piece that you're going to order for winter, you're going to continue like that. Maybe, of course, the budgets would be a little bit smaller than 6 months ago or something like that. Hopefully it will improve. But if you have that kind of passion, I believe you would continue with it. Naturally, you know, great businesses are made because of the working people or people who are going to the offices who were supposed to be wearing the suit and a tie and a shirt, you know, and working from home. I believe that we will be forced to make some sort of a hybrid gear. Yeah. You know, something that is going to be equally suitable for the occasion and comfortable to be in either being at home or somewhere else. But today, you know, when they're saying working from home, you actually don't need to work from home. You can work from anywhere in the world.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, your office can be in Singapore, and it can be in Kuala Lumpur or in Belgrade, wherever. I mean, today, so that's the positive aspect, I believe, of this whole internet thing, that slowly, you know, maybe this whole COVID thing was needed to make like a very harsh stop of our old habits and to make way for some new way of working, doing business, appreciating some things in life. I mean, there are many philosophical aspects of this COVID situation. I'm sure that it would require much more time to discuss.
Yeah, well, everyone's kind of talking about it at the moment, and you know, one of these conversations recently I had with the great English tailor Timothy Everest, who was whose new brand is MBE, and he was talking about their sort of touch point at the moment is what's he calling it? He's calling it from outfits that will take you from Zoom to barroom, you know, an outfit that will take you from doing a Zoom call to going out for your cocktails, which I guess, you know, we still can, or we're slowly being allowed out for the occasional drink and dinner and human to human socializing. So yeah, there's scope.
You know, if we just go back to the pity moments, you know, of our lives, and every year we used to congregate in June and in January in that beautiful city of Florence and Pitti as a unique occasion to meet people, to introduce, and even that would need to undergo some transformation, and we're going to see how it's going to work out at the end. No?
Yeah. Well, one of the someone who's viewing now, Nikki, was asking a few moments ago whether Goodwood is happening this year. I think it normally would have already taken place by now, wouldn't it?
It's usually in July. It was in July.
Yeah, it's normally in July, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I mean, look, people were so frustrated and so scared of it that no one wanted to risk any possibility of creating an environment where an outbreak or a number of infected people can grow. That's totally normal. However, you know, I see in Italy now that some people are organizing events, respecting some rules. I believe that we all would need to respect these rules in the future in order to overcome this fear at first of, you know, getting the infection. And then, you know, I mean, we really cannot foresee how the whole situation is going to develop in terms of actual disease itself. So,
yeah,
you know, so we would need to adapt our activities with that question mark always looming above our heads. However, life needs to go on, and people are really looking forward to meet other people, to continue with their passions. You know, people who've been collecting cars, they cannot wait, or who are collecting cars, they cannot wait to go to another concours. I speak to my partners from Milan, from Florence, from Paris, you know. And but again, I don't know if you know this Peter Auto, which is one of the major organizers of classic car events in France. They're just now staging an event. Actually, yesterday it started. It's called Tour Optic 2000. It's called like that. Okay. And it's at Grand Palais. They present a number of cars, you know, which are participating at a tour. So, you know, it shows that something like that can be organized, and people are willing to take part, regardless of this potential risk, you know. And so I hope that this kind of overcoming of the whole negative aspect of situation would happen soon.
Well, I was going to ask you, Alex. You know, how do you see your own events evolving or changing in response to this? Because, you know, if all goes well, you will be able to get back in the saddle, as it were, next year. You know, how do you think, you know, things are going to need to be tweaked to make it the new normal?
Yeah, I have to tell you that I think that this whole idea of doing online events, like only, it didn't turn out that well. Like fashion showed, that you just watch online. It seems to me that it's not maybe the best idea, or I mean, obviously, it was something that was forced upon us, and people tried to adapt. So personally, doing an event, I believe that a smaller scale event, more handpicked audience, people who really are interesting in the subject of the event, and not only coming for a drink or just to pass around. I think it could be one of the possible steps in the future. More curated, more exclusive even, but because internet helped us to become very democratic. Everyone can access now everything, and the knowledge about some brand or some artisan is traveling like this. In a second, someone in Africa knows about the artisan from Florence. Before, it was not like that. You had people who were in the know, so they've been like sharing that experience with their friends, or so what I'm trying to say is that if you decide to do an event that you really want to communicate the excellence in craftsmanship, you will be always able to find the suitable audience wherever you are. And let's be frank, we never had hundreds and thousands of participants on some of our events. Usually these artisanal events are small type of events, right? Trunk show is not made for 150 clients. It's made for 10, 15, or maybe 20 clients. I don't know, but these are the numbers that we're talking about. We're not talking about fast fashion, and we're not talking about a need to approach a huge number of people. Maybe for big brands, it is obviously a larger problem, a bigger problem to encounter. And but artisans have their own world, and they are content with the size of their world, be it good or bad. As we discussed earlier, maybe they would need a little bit of support to become more or to put a light on their notoriety a bit more. They would need that help. However, in terms of access, I'm here. Sorry, maybe I pressed something. Yes.
No worries. Okay. No problem.
Yeah. So what I try to say, the artisans are content with the audience that they have. They like that kind of hand-picked audience that they use together. I've been creating events in Florence during Pitti every year for the past 5 years that were called Salon of Excellence. And we always selected a beautiful venue, be it a palazzo or a nice hotel. Last event was last several events were at Four Seasons in Florence, one of the most beautiful hotels in the world. That.
Incredible. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
And that venue was the perfect backdrop to invite a handpicked brands or handpicked artisans to present their craft. And that was always a little niche event that we managed to stage in partnership with larger brands. So we had, we had a string of events in partnership with Lanificio Cerruti, which is a major player in cloth making business, and Nino Cerruti, who's certainly at this point probably the most respected sage of fashion still living, because he's the guy who taught Giorgio Armani, how to do his stuff. Okay, so I believe that he deserves this respect. So that guy, Mr. Cerruti, he was coming to our event and he gave a speech once because we had a small part where he said that he doesn't like this whole thing or this whole world, a word of excellence, and he was afraid that it's losing its luster because people were not giving themselves enough into their craft. So he noticed that you know, it really is necessary to dedicate yourself 100% in order to be perceived as true artisan. You know, half it's not enough. You need to be immersed into your craft, into your art. And I believe these people, these true artisans, will always find way to be active, to be attractive to the clients, and I see no problem with them. You know, for in the future, you know, having this kind of smaller events, I think it would be the way to go for us.
I think it's no, I think it's something about particularly, you know, artisanal menswear and the type of goods that we're so passionate about and focus upon. As you know, you were saying that seeing a fashion runway show and watching that on your telephone or on your laptop computer that certainly lacks something as compared to seeing it physically, to seeing it in real life. But I think certainly for, you know, artisanal, handmade, beautiful products, as I say, the type of stuff that we are so passionate about, you really do need to see it in person. You know, it's not something that is communicated properly on Instagram. It's not something that's communicated properly through a screen, no matter what. It's something that you really need to hold it in your hands, to see and touch and look at those. You know, God is in the details, as they say. So you've got to be able to, you know, really see those details. And that's not something that you see walking down a fashion runway, even if you're in the front row. You know, even if you're Anna Wintour, you're not seeing all of that stuff really up close. You're seeing the larger spectacle, but not the detail.
Absolutely, this personal encounter is essential. You know, you're creating a really a beautiful relationship with any of these artisans, be it a shirt maker, a shoemaker, a tailor. It's not a story, it's real thing. You really create some sort of rapport, some sort of relationship that is usually very friendly relationship, because you know, you're sharing some of your personal thoughts that usually you don't share with anyone else when you are with your tailor or with your shirt maker. I don't know, but you know, it's something that is precious that much, and that's the true value of this human encounter, that you need to be in contact with other human, that we you know, the mask is necessary at this point, and no matter how ridiculous it looks, it obviously saves lives, right? But you know, not being able to shake hand with someone, to hug someone, it really brings a big question mark into humanity and what it's all about. You know, of course, Asian culture are rooted on non-physical contact, right? And they're surviving just fine. You know, there are, of course,
doing very well in some countries, and that is the theory that that's one of the main reasons behind it, is not so much physical contact.
Right. Indeed. Well, you know, I don't know, us in Europe, you know, I'm a Serbian national, but I'm of French and German origin.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of my time in Italy. And to me, you know, not being able to hug a friend, you know, it's almost incomprehensible. In Italy, you know, just when you go to Pitti, you know, it's not possible, you know, not when you see your friend to give a hug, because it's a human way of exchanging your feelings towards each other. That's how I understand that. And you know, the biggest how should I say, the biggest problem with this whole situation is probably lack of this physical intercourse. And I'm afraid that that sorry, is it the word the intercourse, the physical encounter, right?
I understand what you mean. Intercourse is
I
perfectly
appreciate
valid, absolutely. But yeah, no double entendres. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely,
to
absolutely.
be clear.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, and we will see in the future what are the repercussions of lack of this kind of relation, and that we use, that we're used to, But again, going back to all these people that we are meeting, either on Pity or as an artisans with whom you're spending some time, I learned to appreciate the fact that each of these artisans, and that's why I valued them that much, and that's why I wanted to promote them and not to let their craft and their trade go down into oblivion.
Yeah.
And the event itself, 24 Hours of Elegance, really has the idea to put a spotlight on these artisans. Some of them are super well known. Some of them became well known throughout the 10 years. Some of them are still small and maintain their size. However, I was always impressed with the fact that they are dedicating their time just for you. So, a tailor, a couple of years ago, I produced a film about Rubinacci, and it's called 54 Hours of Rubinacci. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't.
There are some
I
trailers
will.
online, and Rubinacci is selling it, the DVD in their shop and online. But it's a beautiful, beautiful documentary, 30 minutes, that tries to follow 54 hours of time of one tailor dedicated just for you, one client, to create something that is beautiful, which is a Rubinacci suit. And so just the notion that someone is spending that much time just thinking about how something will fit you personally, to me it requires respect. For me, it requires respect. And for me, it requires a special attention for some craft that is really maybe going away. As we learn, today you can buy a bespoke suit, or you can buy a handmade suit in Zara, okay? As they say, it's handmade. I suppose it is to a certain part.
I try not to venture into Zara.
Exactly.
I
Well,
can't
let's
remember the
say,
last time I was in there.
but anyone can say that it is handmade. It depends to which extent it is handmade. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't know if you know this event that was in Venice, dedicated to artisans and to craftsmen, that was financed by the Richemont Group and the Cologni Foundation. No?
Not familiar. No.
Okay. Well, it was just 2 years ago. They did the first edition, and the whole event evolves around the artisans in various fields, in the craftsmen. So obviously the big players in the luxury business, which is Richemont as a group, they obviously noted that the essential part of their luxury brand is the artisan, and the artisan is the essence of each luxury brand, because only this artisan with his hands, this meticulous craftsmanship that he can or she can do with his or her hands, is what makes that brand truly a luxury brand. The artisans behind Hermes brand, those are creme de la creme artisans, because each step is done by hand, creating something that is superbly beautiful. And not to mention that Hermes, of course, they mastered the whole luxury business on the shoulders of true artisans. So they should be a role model for any of our friends from tailoring, or whichever of these handcraft businesses.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
Hermes set an amazing example. And that is a brand that, though it has enormous brand equity and heritage and history, as they say, the company's assets go home at 5 p.m. every day. You know,
Absolutely.
they walk out the door when the factory is shut. That's all of the assets have left. So, you know, that is really their value.
And they perfectly illustrate the respect that they have for their assets and for their like the artisan that work, because they realize that without them there wouldn't be a brand.
Yeah.
You know, that's something to really to appreciate. And another thing that is important is that number of these big houses are actually buying smaller ateliers, not to let it go down, not to let them die. And they're in that way they're helping them to maintain their business and to put them in the bigger picture within their own luxury brand. That's another very important thing. You know, some of the tailors are facing a lack of young people willing to learn, and because, you know, that's not a craft that you can learn on an internet course. I mean, you cannot.
Many of them tell me it's getting better though, and that the last sort of decade
Precisely.
there's been a real renewed interest, and that young people not, you know,
decade.
there was a long time when people just wanted to work in an air-conditioned office and not get their hands dirty, and I think there's a renewed appreciation for exactly what we were talking about at the beginning there, about, you know, doing a job where, you know, if you're just moving money around bank accounts all day, you might make lots of money, but where's the what are you achieving? What are you really doing? And I think a lot of people are looking for more meaning in their lives and doing something that has essence, has soul.
My very good friend Tommaso Melani of Stefano Bemer, the shoemakers from Florence. Okay, actually, he obviously took over the brand after Stefano Bemer's passing. Yeah, exactly, tragic passing. However, Tommaso was behind the Scuola del Cuoio, which was the school for young artisans, actually people from relatively humble backgrounds, or younger people from relatively humble backgrounds. They actually came to his school to study and to become craftsmen, and based on that he has seen the growth of his company as well. I mean,
well, now people come from around. I've visited the school on a number of occasions, and you know, Tommaso's a friend. I've known him for many years. But yeah, it's amazing when you walk into that school, and the students they're from Japan, Korea, you know, all around the world. They're coming and learning these amazing crafts. They're in Florence.
And I have to say that I'm impressed by Japanese people, Japanese young people who are willing to learn the artistry of European masters. Even though that I'm sure that they have, you know, the number of artisans in Japan that are superlative artisans in their own field, you know. But it was amazing, this infatuation of Japanese people by European style and European elegance and European. I lived in Japan in 2000 for several months.
Okay.
Yes, and I really got to, you know, to a little bit more to understand this amazing nation and this level of excellence that maybe only in Japan exists, and the appreciation of excellence that only in Japan exists. And by the way, you know very well that some of the major clients of local artisans are Japanese.
Of course,
right? Yeah. So obviously, it's very, very interesting to me to know that, you know, there are no boundaries in that field. Appreciation of something that is handmade and beautiful is possible anywhere in the world. You know, no matter where you're coming from, you know, you will realize the value behind some crafted product.
Most certainly, and look, you know, as you say, the Japanese, they make the most beautiful handcrafted watermelons and grapes and all of those things that are just absolutely perfect and are priced to reflect that perfectionism.
You know what I remember? I remember like an apple. A red apple that inside had a little like a Santa Claus in yellow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So a little bit of Japanese artistry.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Well, Alex, we've only got sort of 9 minutes left
Yeah,
because
yeah,
Instagram cuts us off at exactly
right,
the 1 hour mark.
right,
So if anyone who's watching has any questions, please do
yeah,
pose those now. But I think the last thing I want to just tie this off, continuing talking about events and how.
yeah,
Well, what strikes me is that we have learnt through this situation that certain types of events or certain types of presentations, no matter what it is, whether it's, I guess, looking at something that's a college professor's, giving a tutorial class, I think we see that this can be done very effectively just with Zoom or with video now, or something like a TED talk, one of those presentations that you might have driven your car for an hour to get to someone's presentation, and there's no interaction, there's no interactivity to it. So really, do you need to be there? And I think people are very much thinking again, do I need to get on an aeroplane and fly somewhere just to watch someone speak? Or do I need to get in a car and drive for 2 hours just to watch someone speak? Perhaps not. But then, I think where it is compelling is, as you say, perhaps smaller scale, or events on a larger scale that are like something like PT Womo, or on a smaller scale, something like the events that you put on, where there can be very meaningful interaction, can't there? And some of my greatest friends I've met at PT or at Fashion Weeks and things of that nature, or the watch fairs,
of
where
course.
you do have the chance to have sort of chance encounters with people, meet people that you wouldn't meet otherwise, and there's a bonding that goes on actually having a drink with someone physically that you just don't get having a Zoom conversation or whatever.
Absolutely. Needless to say that this, like, the opportunity, any event is a networking opportunity. That's a fact, right? And, any drink that you're going to have in person with some potential business partner or, potential collaborator in whichever field is infinitely more valuable. However, on the other hand, this kind of Zoom conferences and contacts again helps us to maintain the relationship, right?
Yeah.
And to stay in the loop, to know what we are doing, to be updated with some things that are happening on various parts of the world in a matter of seconds. And then again, the physical aspect of meeting someone and having a chat and going for a dinner and going for a drink and appreciating some nice things together is again equally necessary. So I believe we just need to be a little bit patient, which is not our main characteristic, I suppose, to overcome this whole transformative period, and then to embark on a new journey, because all these businesses cannot be stopped. They can be slowed down, but they cannot be stopped and they cannot be ruined. Some of them probably yes, unfortunately, but most of them I believe not. And the fashion and the whole business of beauty in various aspects, of people creating something beautiful, is inherent in humans, and I think it cannot be deleted with this kind of unfortunate event that we are all facing.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. So I believe that we will find a way how to meet again. The next, the first test will be PT in January, because the whole business of events for some cities is a huge business. So I believe that they cannot afford to lose them. And for them, it was major setback, to be forced to not to organize the June edition of PT. So I suppose that next PT will be a test of how that kind of event will be executed in the future. And in the meantime, we'll have to communicate through a Zoom app or some Instagram live chat or something like that, you know.
No, but I think one of the silver linings of this situation is, I'm talking to people on the phone more than I have in years, and actually reaching out and talking to my friends on FaceTime rather than just sending WhatsApp messages or putting comments on their Instagram posts or whatever. It's particularly during the time when we were very confined to our homes here. Fortunately, we're lucky enough here in Singapore that we're relatively free, though we're not supposed to go back to the office, and where there are certain restrictions, and you do have to wear the mask everywhere, but we're allowed out. But during that that very restricted time when we were spending 23 hours of the day at home, it made you reach out to your friends and family and have those conversations, and I hope that carries on and that we continue having conversations like this.
I will make a parallel. We all thought that the world of magazines is going to go away, right?
Sure.
Because there's Instagram, there are so many online opportunities, but it didn't. And some of the magazines are emerging. Some that you didn't expect are emerging again. And it's nice to have a hard copy in your hand. The same way, it is good to have a personal encounter with some of your friends. So I believe, and the reason why I'm doing the book about 24 Hours of Elegance is something that you can hold in your arms, that you can hold in your hands, and that you can go through, and this is a different aspect of experience, that you can do it online, but when you hold something in your hands or when you talk with someone in person, it's infinitely a different story. So I believe that we are still on the level of personal relations.
Most certainly. Well, that's a lovely note on which to finish. Alexander Djordjevic. Djordjevic. Am I pronouncing your surname correctly?
Djordjevic. It's Djordjevic, and because in Serbian the letter J, it's a DJ, and but you can write it as a D with a little line. So I avoided all these things. I just put Dordevic, so it's easier for me to write, and not to make a confusion with some British-speaking friends.
Well, forgive me, but Alex,
it's perfect.
It's been I'm an Australian. We butcher the sound of everything. That's just what we do. But it's been a great pleasure speaking with you. I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat. And look, wish you all the best with the monographs that you're creating, and with the events when things get a little bit more back to normal.
It looks like this.
Yes, yes, indeed.
It will be out in September, and hopefully we will have a promotion during Pitti Uomo in conjunction with the Menswear magazine and Viola Milano. So I'm looking forward to meet you in person there and to have a drink again.
Absolutely, I can't wait to get back to Italy. It's I was there this time last year, on an amazing trip, and Facebook keeps presenting me these photographs going, last year. I'm like, nightmare. Anyway, Alex, I'm going to let you go, but wonderful speaking with you. And
thank you so much.
And take care. And thank you, everyone who joined us today. Come back tomorrow, same time, for more Banter with Barker. Thank you, everyone.
Ciao. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Ciao.
Ciao.